Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hey everyone, checking in on the MJ sector. Before we get into our regular old analysis, we made a public Facebook group that we encourage you to join. It's USMJ Investors/Traders, and I'll post a link to it in the comments in the YouTube video. But the goal of this is to obviously share information, educate newer traders and investors, and to remain as unemotional and unattached to these stocks as we possibly can. They are vehicles for us to make money and nothing more than that. So just as an example of a couple topics that I would want to talk about in this group, I would want to say, number one, new traders. So if you come into the hemp space and you read news and you say, all right, Hemp Inc. on the OTC, they've been around, they've got their own hemp facility, they're processing their outdoor crop. This sounds like a good investment. That would be a logical thing that anybody new to the stock market would say. Then I go back historically and say, okay, this name has been trading for 8 to 9 years. Its story is more developed than it ever has been. Own processing facility, big large harvest of crop. The development for the hemp space in the United States over the last 8 years has been massive. So I would expect that this stock has probably been doing well during that point in time. We can see we ran up from 5 cents to 50 cents to 3.40 all into 2014. And since 2014, we have gone from $3.40 and we're currently trading at 1.1 penny. So 1 penny and 1/10 cent, which means that anybody that is invested in this stock pretty much in the history of its trading is down money. How does it make sense that the story of the stock is more developed and has more progress than it has ever had in its history, yet the stock price is the lowest it's ever been in the history? And the answer is reverse splits, convertible debt, dilution, take your pick. But the point is, people don't know that. It's not common sense to know that those things are more important than the story of the stock. So I want to convey that to new people when this new wave of USMJ hype gets going, whenever that ends up being, and it brings in all these new people to the space. We need to educate people that there's a lot more going on than just the story of the stock. Another example of a conversation that I want to have is, who is your favorite USMJ play that you are invested in, and what is the number one biggest red flag? Normally, if you talk in social media about the red flags in someone's pick that they are invested in, you're going to get an emotional reaction like you personally attacked that person. When in reality, if I'm long-term invested in a company, I want to know every single thing that is wrong with that company so I'm aware of the complete picture. So I think it would be a healthy discussion for someone to say, I'm invested in this company, but my biggest concern with this company is XYZ. So that's the kind of environment that we're going to try and foster in this group, and we look forward to seeing you there. So checking in on CGC, we have the consolidation and the top of the bounces being set. There was a period this morning where the MJ sector was red, the S&P 500 bulls showed up, and those dip buying started on the MJ space. And it looked like, hey, we might get some dip buying and some quick daily higher lows. And then by the end of the day, that faded and we did not see any real strength. So in the end, we're in the same scenario where we have our low of the dump, the high of the bounce, and we're now looking to see, can we form a higher low and try and change these daily trends, or are the daily downtrends going to continue and we're just going to drop to a lower low? That's what we're looking for the next couple of days. So CGC, we have our low, the high of the bounce, and the bulls must hold 2052 and break 2375 to change the daily trend and shift that momentum. If we cannot do that, if we cannot change the hourly trend to give us a daily higher low, if we fade right back to 2052, that shows us the bears are still in complete control. So again, the majority of the sector is all doing this, but some individual names are much better positioned than others, and others are giving us big red flags. So for CGC, not a whole lot going on. There was a play on the 5-minute time frame today where I made an entry looking for this momentum shift. We had the dump, the bounce to 2227, a lower low, another rejection from 2221, and I bought that bull break. I got impatient and I sold for a tiny win on this pullback, and then we ended up getting what would have been a day maker for me. So my lesson was stick to the game plan. I had my stop under the low of the day. I just didn't like what SPY was doing and I didn't like what CGC was doing. And in hindsight, I was incorrect. So I always like when my mistakes result in break even or small profit. In this scenario, it was small profit and a free dinner, but I learned a lesson. I should have stuck with my game plan. I would have had a day maker and much bigger gains. In the end, it was just a lower high. We had a 15-minute lower high set. We faded back down and then faded into the end of the day. So we have to change the hourly trend to see the daily higher low established. And if we don't, the bears keep full control. Cron is a daily bear flag. Can the bulls hold 840 and break 944 resistance to change the daily trend? We are 47 cents from a bear break, and we are 57 cents from a bull break. So bulls have to show up tomorrow is pretty much the bottom line in the sector. Have to see it across the sector. APHA, this is what everybody wanted to see today. APHA did it. Other names did not. It's our low being hit. There's our daily higher low, and then the bulls buying some of that dip. If the bulls can break the double top at 553, tomorrow we'll have our little higher low and higher high, and that will be bounce follow through. So that's a distinct difference between APHA and other names as far as today's trading action goes. Hourly time frame, need a higher low and then continuation, but that double top at 553 is the most important resistance level. Let's see if APHA can be a leader on this bounce continuation. ACB giving a lot of it back and closing at the low of the day. Support is down at 380. We're 31 cents above support. Resistance is 464. We're 53 cents from resistance. Much closer to a support break than a resistance break. Have to see a green day tomorrow or that support will be tested. If we do head down and test that support tomorrow, there's a potential bottom fishing play. If we were to drop down into the 390s in hourly oversold conditions, maybe worthwhile fishing off that 380 support level as long as we don't see increasing bear volume. And we certainly saw increasing bear volume at the end of the day. But tomorrow's a new day. And we'll see if there's bottom fishing plays in the MJ sector tomorrow or Wednesday. TLRY, similar to APHA, higher low trying to form. Bulls have to follow through and break 25.49 for this little higher low and higher high to shift the momentum and see bounce continuation. VFF, at one point today, it had a candlestick very similar, but faded by the end of the day. Bulls have to hold 830 and break 949 to change the daily trend. Still rejecting from the daily exponential resistance, still consolidating. So out of those major Canadian MJ names, APHA and TLRY stand out as far as today's trading goes. Question is, can they follow through and break resistance for bounce continuation into tomorrow? And it's very important to remain skeptical of the bulls in this entire sector because we're in daily downtrends all over the place. T-God, right back to the low, slight increase in bear volumes, a red flag. 173 is support, key resistance 206, and again, we're 9 cents from a bear break. We are 24 cents from a bull break, so bears have the momentum in their favor. Labs, a lot more space to work with. We have to hold 310 and break 447. So I look at a name like this, and again, percentage space before we drop to a lower low. 18 to 19% on labs. What is it on T-God? 5%. What is it on VFF? 9%. So again, we can gauge how much space do the bulls have to work with and determine probability who is more likely to form a daily higher low and who is more likely to drop to a lower low. VGW, nice long lower wick, have to change the hourly trend for our daily higher low to be established, and then we need to break 338 to see daily trend change confirmation. Hexo, gap down with the news after the CFO resigning on Friday. Close at the low of the day. Bulls have to hold 352 and break 414. And we're headed down towards that support. OGI is the lead Canadian MJ bear. Why can I say that? Because we're already confirming the daily bear flag. We got no bounce follow through. We're already dropping to lower lows. There's no support nearby aside from 297. So potentially a bottom fishing play off of 297. If we drop down to that level in the next couple of days, the daily RSI will be in the teens. And that will be the lowest daily RSI that we've seen probably in history, maybe one time back here in March of 2017. Point is, it'll be one of the most oversold daily RSIs we've seen. The weekly RSI will be getting oversold, but the only support to play off of is that 297 level. Curaleaf, daily inside bar, So holding on pretty well. We haven't even really started clearly pulling back for a daily higher low. And again, distance, percentage distance before we drop to a lower low, 22%. It's a lot of space to work with. US MJ held on better than Canadian MJ. Within the first 30 minutes of trading today, we could see just percentage-wise, US MJ was down 1 to 2% for the most part. Canadian MJ was down 3 or 4%. So Curaleaf bulls holding on fairly well, a daily inside bar. If it breaks bullish, we're right back to the high of the bounce. If it breaks bearish, then we're looking at the same daily higher low attempt that everybody that we just looked at is trying to form. C-Web saw continuation, had not topped out yet, and then closed at the low of the day. So if we break the low of today, tomorrow, 1848, we're then pulling back. Bulls must form the higher low compared to 1560, and then turn around and see daily trend change continuation. TRUL. Bulls held on well. They're hoping for a cup and handle setup here. Resistance, consolidation, inability to break resistance, and now hoping for a bull flag. Keep an eye on TRUL because it is one of the strongest names in the USMJ space, and breaking 1285 will certainly separate it from the group with a weekly bullish trend change where no one else is in a weekly uptrend on this list right now. MedMen, bulls bought the gap down open. Bulls would love to see a higher low at 215, the low of today, but we'll have to break 247 to follow through and see this bounce continuation. All in all, a very solid day and definitely stood out in a sea of red today due to that strength. GTII, also similar to C-Web, saw some continuation. We hadn't topped out yet, but we closed at the low of the day. So we need a higher low compared to 1048. Then we have to break 1298 to change the daily trend and see bounce continuation. IAN closing at the low of the day, looking right back at the low of 156, declining bear volume. Maybe there's a trade based off of 156 support, anticipating an equilibrium will form where we have our low, high, scouting a higher low compared to 156, and we'll look for a tightening range after that, but obviously no significant shift in momentum, and we have to hold 156 and break 214 to change any kind of momentum. Bottom line, sector is still weak at this point. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't have hope for the SAFE Act right now in the short term. The reason being the political landscape is slowly deteriorating into a whole lot of other stuff going on that is going to take importance over marijuana banking, in my opinion. So a lot of other distractions out there. I would love to be wrong and pleasantly surprised, but I'm preparing for what I feel is the most likely scenario, which is not to be bailed out by the SAFE Act passing the Senate in 2019. So we could absolutely drop to lower lows. Will there be some plays off of support? Yes. There are certainly names that are still well enough above their support that we will anticipate daily higher lows to form. Whether we can change the daily trends from there, that remains to be seen. But again, stay skeptical of bulls because they have not proven anything to us. All we saw was daily oversold bounces for daily lower highs, and now we're heading right back down to test those support levels again. Have to see a green day in the sector tomorrow. If we don't, those support levels will be on tap. I appreciate you watching. We'll check back in as always. See you in the Facebook group, and have a good day. Wrap it up here with some more videos from my trip to the Northeast. This is the Lost River little boardwalk cave area hike. I went here over 20 years ago when I was a little kid growing up. And the coolest part about it is watching how these trees' roots and how their trunk structures are growing intermingled with these jagged rocks that are dropped down by a glacier, and how the water has cut through those rocks. But just these rocks that you'll have 20-foot roots climbing over rocks and then reaching down into soil, and you'll have trees that are just going sideways before they stretch up and reach for the sun. So some pretty cool nature doing its thing. Thanks again. Do good things out there and protect those bullish positions.